Pop Smoke's Faith, 20 songs, 56 minutes long. Pop Smoke was question mark and rap trap artist, kind of brought like the Brooklyn drill kind of thing to the scene and mainstream sort of deals here with songs like Dior. He was killed before his like first major album released in February 2020. Basically they had like a home invasion kind of deal, much like we talked about with Lil Durk just moments ago. And since then, like in 2020, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon was released to a lot of fanfare. There are a lot of songs on it that people liked and sort of cemented Pop Smoke's, I guess, legacy. And ever since then, Pop Smoke's done this series of different features on different artists' records. A lot of these artists also appear on this record too. So it seems like they did like a lot of back and forth. And we've had some pretty like mixed to negative opinions about those features. Like, and it's kind of colored our observation of what's been happening lately in music, where you have artists who unfortunately pass, and then they've recorded a lot of music, and that music still needs to go out there, and people still want to make a lot of money off of that music. And so then you get to this weird thing of trying to create an artist's legacy for that artist without their input, hoping that, you know, the people around them have the best idea of that. And then I'm not sure, like with this album, I think it's interesting because I felt it was all right. There's some songs that are okay, but it's really long and it's very overproduced. And I am appreciative of this one thing, at least before we do start to get into it, Sean, is that we wanted Pop Smoke to kind of get out of the drill sound that he had, like that sort of like thing that he was doing. And you saw little bits of him doing it in some of the features that he's done elsewhere and on previous album Shoot for the Stars. But on here, he really, really does it, especially in the second half of it. And that's the parts where it starts to sound a lot better. And along with all the features bringing their all generally, you start to get like a better idea of a clearer future of what the best of Pop Smoke could have been, would have been, / is. Again, it's very like weird thinking about this contextually right now.
Yeah, my other issue with it is a lot of the features had a little too much leeway, I believe, in their production sound, because it sounded like, example, going down towards the end of the album, you had like Demeanor with Dua Lipa. It kind of just sounded like a random Dua Lipa track with Pop Smoke. It didn't sound like a Pop Smoke with Dua Lipa, if that makes sense. Like Pharrell and Spoiled with Pharrell and 8 Ball with Kid Cudi, the two after that, the same thing. It sounds like they had too much of their production value, too much of their own sound that wanted onto that track. So it kind of detracted from it. So it wasn't quite cohesive. But I do agree with you on this. Pop Smoke's rapping, that was a bit better on the album. It wasn't super stagnated like it was on the past kind of features that we've been seeing and things throughout. But I still have an issue with these Poshmas albums. I've talked about it ad nauseum before on Audioface, but like at the beginning, you have this little interlude of good news kind of going on about it. And then throughout the album, you always have like these little hints and stuff of Pop Smoke, this and that. But it just, I don't know. It's because of how long the album is. There's just so much substance in it that it starts to detract from kind of the good work that he's had in his career when he was alive and everything. And some of the stuff, even with his first Poshmas release, that was some decent tracks and stuff in there. But now it's like, it was barely a year since that album release or so, maybe like a year and a half at most.
Yeah,
and then you have another thing like this, and it's one of those things where it almost feels like a cheap cash grab to me, where it's not, I don't know if it's genuine or not. And the features, because of how feature heavy it is, like they have to do a lot of stuff on there, and you never know how it's going to sound out naturally when somebody's alive and everything. So it's okay of an album. The first half of the album is kind of bland. You have Television with Kanye West and Pusha T. That was it was okay. Not the greatest, but
I thought it was really bland, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But not, super offensive.
MF Doom did more work in that IDK feature than Kanye West did in this.
Deadass. Manslaughter with Rick Ross and The Dreams, all right. About a Million with 42 Doug and 21 was okay. And you know that I'm a huge 21 fan, but I thought it was all right. Nothing too crazy to go out. And that second half did get a little bit better, but it's still really bland. I mean, he has a song with a beater and slash dog beater allegedly on there. So, and there's like just, I don't know. I couldn't get into it that much.
I think a highlight, and again, I felt like it was overproduced in the sense that it's not it's not like offensive trap music. I think we've gotten mostly out of that phase now, several years later, where some of the pop trap things are just like, the beats are inoffensive, they work out well, it's fine. But you got a little bit more of the hints of branching out, and I think a little bit more of a hit or hitting better with songs like Top Shotta with Pusha T, like the Neptunes, all these other ones, Beam, Travie, etc. And there you got like a really different kind of thing. It was, and I'm surprised, even though these are all like pre-recorded and stuff, the parts with Pop Smoke sound really good. It doesn't sound like the quality is still top notch. It doesn't sound like you have to like, do weird slowed down things too much. Yeah. If they are there, they're hidden really nicely. There's not a lot of like vocal distortions, which you've gotten with a couple of posthumous records here and there. It's all like really top notch. It does sound like it's like, breathing second life into Pop Smoke in this way. Maybe third life now, because we are at his second posthumous record, which again echoes Sean's point. Feels weird to me still.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a decent album, but it's still like, I don't know, there's a lot better trap music, there's a lot better rap that we've had this year, especially. And within this, there's still like, I'm not a big fan of these posthumous records. So maybe a posthumous song here or there, something that's maybe 95% completed or something. But this with this amount of features, and you can hear a lot of their sound or a lot of their production value onto it. It's like, that's not really his stuff. So it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine, but nothing that is super like, knock your face off. But even as like a pop record, because a lot of this thing is going to be just like played to hell. It's fairly inoffensive, but not necessarily groundbreaking. But for Pop Smoke, I'm glad that it shows that the direction he was going to go into, right? And so
it was bad.
Yeah,
exactly. I do agree with that statement. So
yeah, arbitrary scale this week. I'm going to do this one on the fly, and I'm going to go with Warner Brothers properties, because I was bored yesterday and I watched Space Jam, and like the new Space Jam New Legacy, and part of that it was like horrendous, right? Like there's not enough music in it for us to like do an Audioface thing about it, but like also, sorry to offend the old heads, the original Space Jam sucked. Like part of the idea of the original Space Jam was just that it was like a star fuck of all of the, like, a lot of NBA celebrities and things like that, but also a lot of like Warner Brothers characters. It was like Super Smash Brothers and the movies, right? But like NBA street ball essentially. And so like the new Space Jam New Legacy thing, to do a minor spoiler alert of it, but this is like the first 30 minutes of the film. Like you're going through all the different Warner Brothers properties, and like if you're a Dan from the internet head, it'll start to like be really dark to you, because like there's like the Looney Tunes world, but there's also the Harry Potter world, and there's also the Game of Thrones world, because you have to reconcile with the fact that these are all the same company now. And like they make distinct references to this, and I think the worst one is when Rick and Morty from the show of the same name just randomly pop in, and it kind of makes sense because like that's kind of their shtick, but it's like, oh God, Warner, wow. So arbitrary scale just has to be a Warner Brothers property. You have a lot to work from. I'm gonna give Pop Smoke the Roadrunner.
Roadrunner, okay.
Yeah,
on board
because like the drill thing.
I was gonna give him a Tasmanian Devil. So
I was thinking about that, but I forgot his name.
Yeah, ye old devil.
Yeah. Moving on.
But whatever joints were on Boomerang or whatever random Cartoon Network show that was, or network thingy that channel was.
Yeah, that's Boomerang. They played all the old shows.
Exactly.
Especially all the ones that were like vaguely racist. I'm surprised they kept Speedy Gonzalez in the new Space Jam.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, I didn't know we were still all right. Cool. I guess that's there we go. That's your representation. Oh man,
that's rough out here, man.
Anyways,